Decoding Beyonce's This Is My Park. Now, I know you probably think, really? You're going to decode the My Park fashion line? The Ivy Park fashion line? Yes. So, we're going to look at the symbology in the This Is My Park advertisement, okay? So, I want us to focus on the word park. This is an etymology dictionary, and we see here that park is known in mid 13th century as being a tract of land enclosed as a preserve for beasts of the chase. Okay, this is an old French saying, which is an enclosed wood or heath land used as a game preserve. Garden is this idea of this space of plants and trees, right? And this is where we can get the concept from the Bible, in which Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden, and Eve receives information from a snake, okay? So that's one reference. So when we look at park, we're seeing that park can be forest and could be Eden.
Come in and leave, come in and leave again. It's up to you, you have a pen. Come in and leave, come in and leave again. It's up to you, you have a pen. You're the train, I'm the station. Coming in, loading off, now I'm...
If her hair is like the trees, then the trees are on top of the garden. They're growing out of the garden. So the brain could also be considered a garden. It could also be considered a forest, and could also be associated with the idea of park. The brain is available to get information, just like in the story of the Garden of Eden, Eve gets information from a snake. So the brain could also be considered this idea. The other part of a woman that could be considered a garden would be her vagina, would be the womb. This is where women grow hair as well. And on top of the womb, you have your hair. So the womb could be the garden, could be Eden, could be a forest, and could be a park. So we have park, forest, Eden, the brain, or the womb. This is my park. So now I want to go back to the etymology, because there's something important to understand about the use of a park. So let's remember here that it says the tract of land enclosed as a preserve for beasts of the chase. So what are the beasts, and who's doing the chasing? And then it says enclosed wood or heath land used as a game preserve. So let's look into this word game preserve. So the game preservation is maintaining a stock of game to be hunted legally. It includes preventing poaching, preventing losses to attack by predators, to encourage breeding, and sometimes captive breeding for release. So it's used for a place for hunting and for breeding. And there you go. So a park, a forest, Eden is her body. This is my park. So the decoding could stop there, but let's go a little bit deeper. So we're now entering into the Divine Mother frequency.
To anyone who's staying, give attention. I want you every day, room migration. Seems like I lost my way, I lost my patience. Ooh, fragmentation. I'm a piece of your creation.
And in this frequency, we use astrology and we look at symbolism, decoding to understand the times that we're in and what we're up against and what decisions we have to make for ourselves. So I want to bring in this socio-political discussion that revolves around what is currently occurring. And this is about society, it's about politics, and it's about mastery and slavery. So we have to understand that if the womb and the body is the game preservation, right? That means that there is hunters that are after these bodies. Understand that there is someone that is trying to control your park, okay? And so this connection is with the idea of having the rulership over your own body. But first you have to understand, well, how do you give up the rulership over your body? And have you already? And if you have, can you get it back?
System that we live in. We live in a system, and there are people who are very powerful in this world who actually have think tanks that get together regularly on a regular basis, and they basically manufacture this society that we live in. It's a system, and this, what we live in, with all the stuff that you see, wars, famines, corruption, that's basically the end result of these think tanks that get together and produce this society that we live in. Attorney A.E., that's an A, excuse my writing. Attorney Regis, the Eternal Crown. This is Pope Sixtus the fourth. Pope Sixtus the fourth. And this is the second testamentary deed, trust, deed and will, the second crown of the people, which makes people slaves, which makes people slaves.
Where? Through work, he says, the slave becomes conscious of what he truly is. So the truth of the slave at this point begins to no longer lie in the master, but in the work, in the thing. The master is a consciousness who sets the slave to work by making them fear, by giving them determinate things to work upon. The slave does service for the master, but the slave does that precisely by turning to something else, the independent thing that has to be worked upon, whether it is mopping the floor or doing the taxes or dancing, in which case it's your own body that is the independent thing that you're taking control over. There's a subordination not only to the master in service, but to the thing itself. Hegel goes on and he says that desire has reserved to itself the pure negating of the object, thereby its unalloyed feeling of self. The slave is forced to put desire on hold.
Apollo, watch me run into your flames. I'm addicted to